Hey guys, Diane here with the GreenEyed Monster Review, and today I'm going to be reviewing The Nightmare Man. So hit that like and subscribe button and we'll get into it. Okay, so today we're going to be talking about The Nightmare Man by J.H. Markert. And just for a quick synopsis, this book is about Ben Bookman. He is a very successful horror writer. He has many successful books, and he is finishing up this series called The Scarecrow Man. And so the weekend that this is to be released, there's actually some murders that start occurring, and they are identical to the ones that he has described in his book. They're very detailed, and they're very almost ritualistic. So automatically they're like, okay, this is very strange. These are pretty much the same. So you're following his family, you're following the downfall within the family, and how this is really bringing up some things from their past, some things from their marriage that is kind of colliding with what's happening now. And you're also following the detective and his daughter, who's also a detective, that's trying to figure out the murders, just trying to figure out how they're connected and how he knew so much about these murders. But you're really following those two timelines. You're also following in the past, his childhood and things like that, and you'll see how all that kind of comes into fruition. The pacing of this book was really good. I felt like it moved really quickly. There's a lot going on. It's one of those books that there's always something going on. You're always trying to figure out a clue, or you're trying to figure out who this is, or you're trying to connect the dots in some sort of way, and that's always a lot of fun. The length was about 350 pages, which is pretty normal for a horror and thriller book, and I feel like that's a comfortable length without getting too long and without being too short where you feel like you're missing out on something. I feel like this is pretty easy to read. It's not something that's really going to... you're not going to be struggling to be remembering like certain details. It does a really good job of kind of keeping up with you. I read this, or I listened to this on Audible, and I felt like I got just a tiny bit gypped because there were some diaries and things like that where you could like look at the pictures and stuff like that. So I felt like I would have enjoyed it a little more if I would have read the physical copy, but I just get so much more reading done if I'm listening to it. I know it does feel like I'm cheating a little bit, and I feel like I cheated myself on this one, but it's still very enjoyable. And if you're like me and you really need something to listen to, then I listened to it and it was phenomenal. So I definitely recommend it on Audible. The characters I felt like were very likable. There wasn't one character on here that I just hated. The detective, there were some things about him that I didn't like, and I felt like were almost justified by the author, and maybe that's the character justifying it and not the author. But sometimes, you kind of fail to separate the two. So, but it wasn't anything that I just despised. I still really enjoyed the story. I could connect his flaws, I guess, with the character. So it ended up working out. But as far as the rest of the characters, I liked them. I felt like they weren't too kind of churched up, for lack of a better word. I felt like it made sense and that they all really meshed well together. There were quite a few standout moments. The murders in this book are very ritualistic, so they are different. There is some creativity there. There's some good twists in here. You're really going to think you kind of know where it's going. It'll kind of veer off, and I always enjoy that in a horror book, in a thriller book, in any book really. So that was really good. I gave this 8 out of 10 stars because it was just a solid story. It was a solid book. It had a very almost a nostalgic feel to it. In my mind, it was almost comparable to maybe an adult Goosebumps type of thing. And once you read it, maybe that'll make sense to you. If not, let me know. Let me know if I'm just out on left field by myself. I feel like the recommended audience for this would be pretty wide. I feel like this is going to be something that's enjoyable for everybody. It's one of those books that it's going to be kind of hard to imagine someone not enjoying it, especially if you are into horror, if you're into creepy cornfields, if you're into scary scarecrows, if you're into, nightmares, then I think you'll really enjoy this. This was just a solid book, and I would recommend it, like I said, to anybody. So hit that like and subscribe button, and we'll see you next time.